What's up, bosses? Welcome to About Her Business, the podcast where we leave all the gossip at the door and get straight down to business. I'm your host, Jonte, and today we have author, educator, and certified life coach, Miss JaHana Holloway. Now, Miss Holloway is out here on a purpose-driven mission, learning from previous past experiences. She's created multiple platforms to help people heal from things like inner child healing to learning the true meaning of failure. And she's bringing a few keynotes today on what she means business. So, ladies, grab those cups and those notepads, and let's get down to it. The meeting is now in session. Welcome, Miss Holloway.
Thank you so much, Jonte, for having me here. Hello, audience. Thank you for having me as well.
Absolutely. Are you ready to get into it?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Perfect. Let's go. So take us back to the beginning. What was happening in your life that originally pushed you to create healing spaces in your community?
So I had been doing a lot of healing work myself over the past 5 or 6 years. And so last year I was working with birth doulas, which is all healing work. It's really deep and spiritual and healing. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I really want to do something in my community because I was able to come out on the other side, and I'm still going through, but still coming out on the other side. So I was like, I want to offer a space where people can come to feel seen, be heard, and just actually rest. Yeah, I had a space set up where they could go to sleep, cry, meditate, pray, whatever it is they needed in that moment. So that's what led to me creating it, because I'm like, what I need, I know somebody else needs too. So that's why I open up the healing space.
Wow. And, when people think about healing spaces, a lot of people think just therapy and getting them out those resources, but to actually open up beds and prayer spaces for people, that is huge, and something that's not heard of in a lot of communities out here. So thank you again, Ms. Holloway, for thinking of people in that aspect, because you're not quite often seeing those types of healing spaces out there now.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for saying that as well. That's so true.
Absolutely. Now, can we talk about at what point did you realize that your personal lived experiences could actually become a business and not just a personal journey for you?
I realized that first of all, when I saw other people, I'm like, wait a minute, I could do that, because I was the kind of person I would like just start work with small groups, but really not put myself out there completely. And so I'm like, I could do that, so just being confident and knowing that I had the ability to do what I was sent here to do, which is to help other people heal on their journey. That's my belief. So that's when I was like, I can do this and create it where I still give people that space. I still have, make a profit in a sense, but it's still authentic. So that's what led me to opening up as a business.
And I think that's a great point to make on when you're out here healing, you want to give that back to other people as well, because that's what healing truly is. It's, overcoming those horrible experiences we personally went through in our own lives, and want to go out there and help those same people that may be struggling and not having that same support. So thank you again, Ms. Holloway, for just thinking of others and using your own personal experiences to help others with it. So let's talk about self-improvement and healing. How did you translate something so personal into structured services like workshops and coaching?
So the healing the inner child, that's my baby, because I believe it goes back to the beginning, but so many people feel like leave that past alone, like don't even touch that. But healing the inner child is just the shedding of so many layers. So I feel like by offering that type of healing work and empowering others, should I say, that I could turn into a workshop. And that has been so profound. Like I've had so many people come to me and was like, after I took that, you won't believe what happened. And I'm like, yes, I will, because I know, because I did it myself first. And then I knew other people may need it. So that's why I start the workshops. I have different ones, but that's, like I said, that's my heartbeat. And then more so focusing on people who have went through divorce and transitions in life. I went through a divorce. I became an empty nester in a sense. Short term, one of my babies moved back home, but short term, but still the role as a mother has shifted, so that was hard. So it's all these different endings and transitions. So I do workshops to help people that may be going through transitions. And then I also do one-on-one sessions, life coaching with individuals as well.
Absolutely.
Anything to help people. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, Ms. Holloway, you said some words that a lot of people hate to hear right now, which is that inner child. And you hit on another key aspect of a lot of the things that we do and we have gone through, especially in adulthood, goes back to when we were a child, and building those layers of protection. And when you go on your healing journey, because I've done the same and it happened for me. It went all the way back to when I was 5 years old. So it could go back that far, y'all. And once you learn to access those decisions you made as a child and those rejections that you had as a child, it helps you understand those decisions that you made as an adult a whole lot better. So Miss Holloway, thank you for opening up that type of a space, because I truly believe that is really where healing really begins.
I do too. Thank you. Yep, that's I agree.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, speaking of spaces, building a space center on peace and healing is, again, it's so powerful, but also a niche. How did you position your brand so clearly that you understood the value?
So I would say that I'm just going to be honest. I didn't. I just want to be honest. In my mind, I'm like, this is a healing space. I could use this, and I know my community can. And so I'm from here, so other people from here would need it too. But it's a small town, and I realize everybody don't need what I needed. You know what I'm saying? And then too, how they have that saying, location, location, location. That is so true. And so I didn't consider my location, the place I'm in, the demographics and all of that. So that's one piece of advice I would give to anyone who is going into entrepreneurship. Please do your research on the population, the demographics, the need, the financial, the economic situation there, because where I live here is still survival mode a lot, because it's a lot going on around us. So we still trying to just come up and trying to figure things out. So here I am on the other aspect, like, come to this healing space, y'all, come get this healing. But they like, look, I got to pay bills, JaHana. I got to take care of my kids. I'm not trying to come over there and sit with you in no healing space. And really, sitting with feelings is already uncomfortable as it is. So I would say I just had to really take that on the chin and be like, you know what? I didn't really go deep into my research like I should have.
Yeah. And again, you just gave our audience a very key piece in entrepreneurship, which is doing your research on the audience in the area you're trying to serve. Because, in my area, it's, again, another small town where, you have several mental health clinics around here, but people are not going to those clinics because, again, this is a city where everybody's in survival mode. So they don't have time to invest that money into those, therapy services and things like that, because they're too busy trying to make sure that they have enough food to put on the table for them and their kids. So that is definitely a real great point you just brought up, Ms. Holloway. You got to do your research, and you got to understand, especially if you're a purpose-driven person, you got to understand and come down to your community's level.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's talk about challenges, because you just mentioned a couple of challenges that you faced while stepping into it. What were those biggest ones when it came to breaking the traditional employment mindset?
I broke the mindset in a sense, because I took a leap of faith. And so I did jump out there believing that, hey, this can work. This is going to be successful. I broke the mindset, but somehow life was like, not yet, not yet. Because I have a child that's in college. So you have tuition, all my bills and everything. So the allure of having to go back, I have started substituting here and there, but I am able to do things I love and passionate about. But I did have to go back into the system in a sense, because let's be honest, everything is going up. And then, it's just me. So I'm trying to take care of everything and everybody on my own. So once I find out maybe this is not sustainable right now, and not saying it's over completely, but I'm just saying right now I had to be realistic. Like, I got to go back to the 9 to 5, do a little what they call it, the matrix. I had to go back in a little bit. They ain't got me forever, but I had to do what I had to do for my family though, and myself too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, you brought up another point, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs, because a lot of people are still maintaining their 9 to 5s while still trying to build something sustainable for them and their kids later on in life. So if you're out here and you're an entrepreneur that's still in their 9 to 5, don't feel bad. Don't think that you're failing in life. That is literally where that word patience and grace come in. Give those things to yourself, because it's hard out here, y'all. I'm telling you, like, everything has tripled in the past couple of years, and it doesn't seem like it's going back to normal anytime soon. So please make those conscious decisions for you and your family, and don't worry about what nobody else thinks about it.
Yep, that's true. And I'm glad you said that, because that was one of the things I'm like, oh, people are going to say, look at how she had to go, just worried about the other people's perception. But then I'm like, when I get them bills at home, they only say JaHana Holloway. and ain't
Exactly.
nobody paying them. So I
Exactly.
got to make sure I focus on what really matters,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And y'all, I'm telling you, I said it to Miss Holloway, but I'm saying it to y'all too. Don't be that person that just walks out and, don't have any income coming in, because it's hard out here, y'all. So let's talk about failure, because we do have a lot of people that are being laid off right now. And some people are literally at the max of burnout that they have to walk out their jobs. So let's talk about failure. What looked like a setback at the time for you, but ended up being a redirection to your true calling?
I would say two things. Okay. Two things is, one is what I just talked about now with the healing space situation. I viewed that as failing in a sense, but it led me to writing a book while I was here in the healing space. I used that time to create. I also had a lot of events that was able to help other people, even though I was in between myself. And then when I went through my divorce, I was able, that led me to my true calling, which was coming out and becoming a speaker and starting that healing journey, because I used to be like shy. Well, I used to say I was shy, but I just wasn't secure, confident in myself. So I labeled it as shy. So I would not speak in front of people. I would not, you not get me on this. I wouldn't even be on no podcast.
Mhm.
But now it's like, that led me to my true calling, which I always say I'm in love with all things speaking, healing, and educating. So
Absolutely.
that's how that worked out.
Absolutely. And, again, I'm a person that speaks from lived experiences. That's why I said don't walk out y'all jobs, because I was a person that got to a burnout to where I felt like I had to leave my job. Now, I'm also a hustler, so life has been different from me. But, for people out there that feels like they failed at life because you quit a job or you lost a relationship, there is power in it. And when I quit my job, I also started writing, and I ended up writing 2 books and releasing a few articles, and that's where I found my voice as well. And now I have 2 podcasts, y'all. So literally take those moments of where you felt like you failed and turn it into something.
Yep. Yes. Perfect advice. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about this industry, because from being just a woman in any industry, period, you have unspoken competition.
Yes.
So, and it's especially amongst women. Now, how have you been able to navigate that while still staying true to your mission?
So I have been able to stay true to my mission because I haven't allowed it to take me off my path. But I have to admit that I took things personally because some of the women that were around me, and then they're in my circle, and I'm thinking we're friends, I'm thinking we're good, but the whole time I'm not knowing they're studying and watching things so that they can, do things as well, do some of the same services and things on their own. And so that's why I was taking it personally, because I'm like, man, every time I find women that I feel like I connect with, it falls apart because of something. Back in the day in high school, younger, you arguing over a boy or something. But now it's like, as we're grown, it's like
Mm-hmm.
business ideas. It's like, why can't we just come together, collaborate, and figure out something together? But so that's something that's really, I'm still trying to figure out how to do that in a healthy way and not where it has to turn into a competition and a division.
Absolutely. And Miss Holloway, when you figure it out, I think you should write a book, because I'm still trying to figure that out myself. And I think it really goes back to being in a small town. We don't have all those big resources that a lot of those big cities have. So a lot of people do think of it as a competition. And instead of collaborating and putting the entire city on, because that's literally what Los Angeles became Los Angeles. You had all those people collaborating with each other to put their entire city on. So for these smaller cities, like for me and Miss Holloway, I'm telling y'all that competition is literally what's keeping us small.
Say that again, please.
Let me say that one more time for everybody. Your competition in these small cities is literally what's keeping your city small. It's literally what's keeping funding from coming to your city. It's literally what keeping these bigger businesses and corporations from coming to your cities and bringing employment opportunities to your cities. Y'all, I'm telling you, collaboration is where it's at. And until people stop thinking that everything is a competition and I got to be the first to do it, you're going to stay small.
Yep. Wow. You hit the nail on the head with that one. So yes.
So that's my little preaching moment for the day, y'all. Now, we've talked about inner child healing, but let's talk about the workshops. So you offer the different workshops between inner child healing and awakening your vision. Can you talk a little bit to our audience about what those workshops entail?
Yes, absolutely. So healing the inner child is mostly we're going back to identify where the wound, the origin of the wound. For me, abandonment was a big one for me. And I just never knew that that's what it was until I started doing the work and I was able to go back and trace it back to, my childhood and see that's where it emerged from. So we talk about the wounds and it's not, a lot of people think it's just trauma. It's not trauma. It's healing the inner child could be you were a child who got everything you wanted. And so now you think the world owes you everything because you're entitled. That's a thing too. You know what I'm saying? You need to heal that. But people always think when they hear healing the inner child, it's just trauma and he had to go through something. No, that's also an aspect of it. So I make sure they understand that it's not just one side, and then we peel back the layers. We focus on forgiveness, self-love for sure. I tap into self-love because the core wound, I believe, with most of us is that we're not enough. And so I really try to make sure we address that aspect of it. And then we play, give yourself permission to be free. And then we wrap it up with like a ritual, just a closing ritual, and also letting a lot of stuff go, just letting it go. And then awakening the vision is more so on the other aspect of manifesting and, speaking things into existence, but not just people think affirmations is going to bring you the life that you desire. And that's, you can say some affirmations, but live it, be it, and embody it, and that's what I focus on is becoming the person you're looking to become in 2 years, 3 years, or today. You have to embody that.
Absolutely. And, I think Miss Holloway stepped on a couple of toes, including mine. She stomped on it a little bit with that, growing up and having everything and being spoiled. That was me, y'all. That was my inner child healing, like literally thinking I was owed everything in life because my mama and my dad and my grandparents, I'm telling y'all, I was spoiled, rotten growing up. I didn't have to worry about nothing. And becoming an adult, I thought the same thing. It literally goes back to those moments of where you got everything in life and it translates to your adulthood of thinking that everybody you meet in adulthood owe you something.
Yep.
Miss Holloway, she hit on it, y'all. And she stomped on my toes and didn't even know she was stepping on it, y'all. This is how you know you've been purpose-driven and God-led, because you can walk in rooms and you're just literally letting God use you as the voice. And at the same time, you may be talking to a person who going through it, but at the same time, the person is healing so they can confirm what the person is saying is absolutely true.
Yep. That's so true. That's true. And we didn't even know.
Absolutely.
We didn't even know.
I'm letting y'all know we didn't rehearse that before today's episode of nothing. It just flowed naturally.
It did. Yep.
So let's talk about packaging your deals, because a lot of people look at, the work that you're doing as it should be offered for free. But we're living in a real society of, we have to understand, y'all, that mental health is still a business. And you do still have professionals in this business that still have to pay their bills. They still have to take care of their families as well. So let's talk about, how did you package these experiences in a way that people were willing to invest in?
Still working on it because I'm hoping to get away from the free mindset that a lot of people approach me with, because like you said, people, I think there's this misconception that healing and work, they feel like it should just be servitude. You should be of service. And we are of service, but we also have things that may be cut off, that may be disconnected, that we need to take care of as well. So I'm really working on that. But what I have done is, because my umbrella is healing, speaking, or educating, anything I do that falls under there. Healing, it could be the healing space or my workshop, so I could brand that. And so now you can come to the healing space. You can also receive the workshops that I offer, maybe become a member, and that way you can get all of those tiers. The book that ties into healing, my book as well. And then also speaking, when I go do speaking service, speaking, I have to charge a fee. And that's been a struggle, is that I realize some of the people I have encountered would like me to speak for free. And I don't think they understand the energy that goes into speaking, healing, and doing any type of work that we do. So, but I try to make sure it's in alignment. Anything that I do is in alignment so that I could package it that way. And they know, like, wait a minute, why is she over here having us do this? But they know it's all tied together. Speak, heal, educate.
Absolutely. And I'm going to take a quick second to break it down to my audience when it comes to the mental health field, what you're actually paying for. So when you're coming into these healing spaces, you're not paying for, just a person to hear your story. You're paying for the person that's invested the education into understanding what you're actually going through. So remember that you're paying for the license that the person has actually went out here and put the investment in to understand how to help you. You're also paying for them creating that space for you to actually be yourself, because a lot of people don't realize when you're walking into these spaces, I'm literally saying, come as you are. Lastly, remember, your pastor also gets a check. So if you go to church every Sunday, remember that. Remember how the entire world works the next time you think that mental health should just be one of those free services out there, because you still got to pay your family doctor, you still got to pay, your lawyers, you still got your pastor still getting a check. So remember that, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. Is so many other layers up under there that goes with that. Yes, yes.
Absolutely. And just to touch on that speaking thing, because a lot of people do like to have people come speak for free. When it comes to speaking, you're also paying for that educational background. You're also paying for the time. You're also paying for the knowledge that the person is about to give you. So, and also that person that is the speaker, they take the time to write the speech. They take the time to critique the speech. A lot of them, pay other people to review the speech as well, just to make sure it's of quality to give to you. So that's literally what you're paying for when it comes to a speaker.
Yep, yep. Also with speaking, it's like just the fact that somebody is willing to come share what they have learned, their life. They went through hell and back and all the things that they've been through, and now they want to come back and share this with you. Please show them respect and value their story, their journey, and what they've been through, because that's really, to me, that's diminishing somebody and saying you are worth zero, so I want to pay you nothing. But this person over here, it seems like their story or their credentials are a little more, better or legit or something. So we're gonna pay them. That's not how it works. It shouldn't
Absolutely.
work like that.
Absolutely. And I'll just say this last thing, y'all. When you're out here, you're budgeting for speakers and presenters and things like that. Don't budget. Well, I won't say don't budget. Put your money towards what your vision truly is, because, a lot of people go, I can only afford this type of speaker, but there are speakers out there that you can get for $200-300 that are just as good as those that are charging thousands of dollars to come speak. So do your research when it comes to a lot of things. So definitely check and do your research when it comes down to speakers.
Absolutely do so. Yeah.
So speaking of being, you're an author as well, and I love the title of your book. It's entitled Metamorphosis. What role did your book play in establishing your authority and expanding your brand beyond your immediate community?
Thank you for saying you love the title too. The fact that like we talked about small town, so I'm in a small town, and so I could have books, maybe sell books here and there, but the fact that I have a product that can reach global, worldwide, just with a click, you can get this book. You don't even have to know me. There's a book and maybe you could relate. And I also have journal prompts in there, so it's like I have poetry, which is all true stories in my life, but then I also offer another page, which is all journal prompts to help the reader, like, okay, now I'm going to go on my journey. She told me about hers, and now I'm going on mine. So that's not just right here in my town, that's universal. So that's how it allowed me to go beyond my town.
And y'all, if y'all ever want to see Miss Holloway and how she influences rooms, I invite you to go watch her TED Talk. You will literally see the reaction of the audience. Like, everybody was super excited. Everybody was super engaged. And Miss Holloway was just on there being her natural self. So if y'all ever want to see the metamorphosis of how Miss Holloway transformed the entire room, go watch her TED Talk.
You got me. I didn't know you watched it.
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh my
It was
God.
good. It was good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. That point right there that I did, that was 2 years after I had been through, the breakdown, divorce, everything. So, and that was my first big, event to be on stage and speaking. And I was like, I just got to give it what I have. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. I really do. I wasn't expecting that. So thank you.
And y'all, I'm telling y'all, I do my research on all my guests, and it was definitely one of those TED Talks I truly enjoyed, because I didn't even know that she had just went through that, but you could just see the power in her and the light in her and what she brought to the room. And she was speaking confidence into people. And y'all just go watch it. So let's talk for our creatives that are out there listening. How have you been able to monetize things like journaling, writing, and emotional expression without losing your authentic self?
So anything I create comes from an authentic place. So I make sure that I do not lose that authenticity. I always make sure I'm intentional. And so it comes from an authentic place. Okay. And then this is what I'm creating. If it doesn't feel right in here, I'm not doing it. I don't care how much money I can make. If it doesn't feel right in here, it's a no. And so I've been able to offer writing workshops, help people that want to, start writing a book, or maybe I help them with the writing process. I give them the space to create. I also do other workshops that like dancing. I love to dance. So self-expression, because a lot of people are, some people are insecure when it comes about to their body. And women, as we get older, things start shifting, moving differently and stuff. So we afraid to dance and express ourselves. But what I've started doing is just like, I'll just do little videos of me dancing, and then somebody will be like, man, I wish I could be like that. Well, you can come to this class over here and express yourself and not worry about who's looking at you or judging you. So just finding a way to give people a safe space, but still, not going broke while doing it, but at the same time doing what I love and making sure I don't forget the reason why I started.
Absolutely. And y'all know I've written a couple of journals, so I'm super excited to meet another journal writer in the room, because it was one of those things where I had a whole lot of anger built up. And I knew that if I acted on what my brain was going through at the time, I would either not be here or I would be locked up somewhere. So I literally had to find a place of release, and that's literally where journaling come from. So I bought several journals, and I'm going to make sure Miss Holloway gives y'all that information as well, so y'all can go and start y'all healing journey, just because a lot of people don't know exactly where to start journaling. So this is exactly why we're creating these platforms for y'all and all these books, because we know people don't necessarily know where to start.
Yep, that's true. Most people think I need a prompt to guide me.
Mm-hmm.
Just this the prompt right here.
There you go.
This the prompt right here. You know what I'm saying? What you've been through, what you're going through, what you're feeling. That's it right there.
There you go. That's your tip right there. So if you want to start journaling, that's literally where it starts. Whatever is on your mind right now, write it down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, you mentioned doing everything by yourself early on. What shifted for you when you started building support around in your community around your business?
Unfortunately, I still am pretty much solo. And I had a young lady that came, I was blessed to have her into my life, and she was helping with content creation and marketing. That was her niche and she could do it. She also has her business on everything too. So she couldn't give me that much of her time. And due to monetary purposes, I couldn't just hire a team right now to help me. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is that I didn't have a team to help me. You will handle the marketing, you'll handle this. So it was me trying to do everything. And we know the truth. Like, something is gonna be neglected because I can't do everything. So moving forward, I know, at least even if it's a team of two, it's better than one. Depletion. And like you talked about, burnout.
Absolutely. And you hit on the key aspect, because a lot of people ask me, how am I running 2 podcasts, a blog, and being a student and a mother at the same time? And I tell them, y'all, I ask for help. Some weeks I ask my sisters to send out emails for me and they help me out. Some weeks I had them send out my Zoom link invites. Some weeks I, literally just take a day off and then power through it another day. So it's literally just learning to manage those things and reach out and not be afraid to ask for help. And when it comes down to money, because everybody knows we have businesses out here and people do still have to feed their families. So when you don't have those resources, try AI. If all else fails, use AI. Now, y'all, I'm just being honest with you, because everything out here is super expensive, and I know AI offers, you can do free graphics and stuff like that. So if all else fails, use AI.
That's true. That it's there for a reason. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, again, you've created all these spaces. So self-care is literally a huge part of who you are. What does that really look like for you as a business owner, balancing profit and purpose?
So self-care is a priority for me. And I remember I was in therapy before, and she told me, getting your nails done and your hair done is not self-care. I mean, yeah, you are taking care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because we always think like I'm pampering myself. I'm this is self-care. And I had to get clear what it is. What does it look like for me? For somebody else, that may be self-care for them. But I had to get clear. Like for me, self-care is really, I'm a nature lover. I'm a Taurus, so I love to be in nature. I just sit outside and just sit for hours doing nothing. I journal. That's part of my self-care routine. I find ways where I reward myself. I may accomplish a goal and then I put on my list how I want to reward myself. It could be somewhere just sitting eating an ice cream cone, but just sitting there watching people and nature, birds and everything. That's self-care for me because it's on the inside. It's not me just trying to make sure this looks good, but is this right? Which matters more to me. So self-care is my priority.
Miss Holloway, thank you for breaking down the true meaning of self-care, because I used to think the same thing. And, when I started my college journey and I was in my first counseling course, I said, yeah, going to get your hair and your nails did and going shopping. Those are my self-care routines. And my teacher went, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to go to therapy a little bit. And sure enough, getting into therapy, you find out that's not self-care. That's really like a coping mechanism. Almost in a way, you basically covering up what you really hiding on the inside. Self-care is literally giving yourself that time to heal, giving yourself that time to grieve, giving yourself that grace because you can run a mile today. That's literally what self-care is, y'all. So
Yep.
if you think you're gonna find it in clothes and hair and nails, you're gonna just be spending money for the rest of your life until you truly go within self, because I end up realizing all that stuff is an addiction that you literally use to cope with what you're going through. So there y'all go.
Yeah, exactly. That's an escape. And I love that you broke it down like that. It's an escape. And we're taught that beauty is on the outside. The society shows us beauty is on the outside, which is so many people are focused on altering things because we're not taught that we're beautiful as is. So when you go get your hair done, of course you do feel better, but what about getting your soul done? Are you doing what you're supposed to do to get your soul right? Because if today was your last day here, ain't nobody gonna care what your hair look like, what your soul like, is your spirit right? So I feel like we need to make sure we focusing on the right things. And so yeah, you're right with everything you said.
Absolutely. And I'll just give a picture to my ladies out there. You getting your hair did on Friday. Next Friday, how you feeling about your hair? Did it fix anything? Did it make that problem go away? Did it bring your man back? There you go. So, Miss Holloway, let's get some more advice out here. For the women who feel called to create something healing centered, but don't know exactly where to start, what's the first strategic move that you would give her right now?
Based on my experience, I would say write the vision and make it plain. You have to know what you're creating, why you're creating it, who you are creating it for. And so I would say write the vision and make it plain, because a lot of times we're like, oh, I could cook, I'm a good cook, I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna open up a restaurant. That don't just mean you open up a restaurant just because you're a good cook. You have to really be clear on why you're doing what you're doing. So I would say, please just have your vision detailed and written out, and make sure it's what you want to do and not what other people are telling you need to do.
Absolutely. And again, she hit on the key aspect, because if you're out here just doing it because it's a trend, or if you're out here doing it just because everybody else is doing it, you're going to eventually get tired of it and give up on it because you ain't getting enough likes or enough people purchasing your product. And then at that point, you're going to say you invested into something that had no purpose. And then you may go out there and try something else, and then that failed. And then you're going to say, well, entrepreneurship isn't for me. And then you end up with a 9-to-5 that you don't like and say, okay, well, a 9-to-5 ain't for me. And you end up back in entrepreneurship. So until you do the work, you're going to run around in a whole circle, and you're going to keep going through those cycles, y'all, because I know. I want to tell you something I didn't go through myself.
Me too. Hallelujah. I'm telling you, that's me. You talking.
Mm-hmm. Now, sadly, today's episode has come to an end, and I know some people's like, finally. And we always leave with a legacy. And I give Miss Holloway a couple of minutes to think about this. When it's all said and done, what legacy are you leaving behind?
When it's all said and done, I want my legacy to be that there was this unhealed, imperfect woman who came here to help other people heal, transform, and fly. And that's what metamorphosis is for me, like fly. Just set yourself free. Stop shrinking yourself. Stop playing small. Stop hiding. Fly so that we can find you. So I would say that's my legacy, is that I just want people to know they are enough, and to just help them to know that, wow, she went through all of that just so we can see what healing looks like in real time.
Absolutely. And we all know that even after you're gone, legends still never die. So that's a great legacy to leave behind, Miss Holloway. Now, sadly, today's episode has come to an end, but before we go, we're going to make sure we get all of Miss Holloway's information. Let us know how we can sign up for the workshops. Let us know where we can find the book, the journals, and also let us know where we can find the TED Talk.
Yes. Okay. So I put everything in my link tree for now since I haven't established a full website. So you could go to my link tree and they'll have access to that. The book is also on Amazon. If they want to purchase it on there, they can purchase it on Amazon. But I try to keep everything in one place so they know, hey, I want to do this workshop today. I want to buy the book. Everything is in the link tree for now.
Absolutely. And I will be copying and pasting and leaving all that information down in the description box below. Any last words before we adjourn today's meeting, Ms. Holloway?
Please never lose sight of your why, the reason why you are here, the reason why you were chosen to do the work you're doing, because the reason why you went through what you went through. Never lose sight of your reason why, because we need you. We need you. Just always knowing that you are valued and needed.
And ladies, I'm going to leave it at that. And today's meeting is now adjourned. Thanks again to author, educator, and certified life coach, JaHana Holloway, for coming on and offering all her insights. And you be sure to subscribe to About Her Business so you never miss whenever we upload. Also, leave me some comments down in that comment section on which industry you think I should interview next. Until next time, keep your goals tight, that circle tighter, and that bank account growing.
Thank you.